So today I want to talk about how you might want to go about structuring a dietary regime. So one of the most useful things is to think about your body as an engine, and what really runs your body then is your metabolism, right? And so if you have a car, I mean, the whole idea is that you want the right kind of engine oil for it in order for it to function optimally, right? Well, your body really isn't any different. So one of the things I think about then is the metabolism is how your body utilizes its fuel. So Dr. Mercola on his website offers a really wonderful service. He provides a nutritional typing assessment, and he's found through all the research that he's done is that all societies, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, they all divide themselves up into thirds. So 1/3 is a carbohydrate type, 1/3 is a protein type, 1/3 is a mixed type, right? So the whole idea is that if you're a carbohydrate type, then this is really you really want to be eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, and that actually this is the only type, meaning 1/3 of the population is the only type that can actually be vegetarian, right? So then 1/3 also divides itself up as a protein type, right? And this is basically kind of like a hunter-gatherer sort of thing, right? Where you want to for sure be eating a lot of animal protein, particularly on a daily basis. And then 1/3 is a mix, right? Which is a mix of both the carbohydrate and the protein type. You want to lean towards the fruits and vegetables, but you want to be sure to add in some animal protein from time to time, right? Because protein is particularly important in the body, I think, from particularly animal protein, right? I feel it's maybe, not, there's different ways to look at it, but basically the hormones in the body require the substrate of the animal protein in order to be manufactured, particularly through the liver. So this is one of the reasons animal protein, I think, is really, really important for, the majority of people. So to look at some of the other ways you might want to consider structuring your diet, when I first came to be interested in health and diet, one of the things that I looked at particularly was a traditional diet, right? This is how people have eaten for thousands of years, right? So traditional diets all seem to share the fact that they all have some kind of fermented food in them. And this sort of allows your gut to sort of naturally be replenished each day, and therefore you're not working against your body. You have these organisms inside of you helping to digest the food, and of course we know how important probiotics are now. So this can be really a useful thing to consider, having some sort of fermented food in your diet every day as a way to replenish your gut bacteria moving forward. So all traditional diets, as I said, have some form of fermented food in them. You may also want to look at what your ethnic group, where you're, racially where you're from, and what your ancestors have eaten for thousands of years. This is also a really good way to consider what your body might want, because the body is kind of like, it evolves very slowly, right? And in this day and age where you have access to like just about every kind of food from around the world, which is a wonderful thing, you can continually have fresh fruits year round. You may also want to consider that, I'm just going to move this a little bit. There we go. So you would want to consider those sorts of things when you're looking at how you might want to structure your diet. And then finally I want to just talk a little bit when I'm talking about sort of traditional diets and how we want to look at ourselves in terms of what our ancestors have eaten is the blood type diet. So there's some controversy out there as to whether that's a really valid way to look at what your food structure should be. But I think the blood, runs through every aspect of our body, all the cells of our body, and there are 4 different types. So I think it has some merit. Certainly what I've seen, people can do very well sort of following a blood type structure. I once went to see a lecture with Dr. Gabriel Cousens, and he said that there really was no hard scientific research on it, but to some degree it's anecdotal, and with all of these things you're just trying them yourself, right? So this lecture is really just about sort of gauging how you might want to start rather than looking at the specific foods as a way to structure your diet. Like, what's the sort of the philosophy underlying? Is there a structure underlying, right? So one of the places you can also look is the Chinese system, right? And the Chinese really focus on eating seasonally, both in terms of climate and the seasons of your life, like youth, pregnancy, old age, all these different things. They look at the body as kind of like a battery. yin and yang and how to balance these in the body. There's also the Indian Ayurvedic system, right? They operate with looking very in detail through the three doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and they say that we are a combination of all three of those, right? So finding some way to balance that by your food choices can be also a very useful way. I know people who've done really well following that system. So this lecture, this video log today is really about just talking about some of these different kinds of structures and how you may want to incorporate and integrate them into your own life. And it's probably really going to work best if you do a combination of all three. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.